Hi, I wanted to give a brief demo of the macro function in the Omen Command Center for Omen Sequencer Keyboard and the Omen Reactor Mouse. So one thing important to note is with macros, they're actually shared across the keyboard and mouse. So you can create a macro and assign that to a mouse button, either one of the side buttons or the right click button. We don't allow the left click button to be assigned to a macro because the user could get into trouble in that scenario. And you can also assign a macro to an Omen sequencer P key on the side. So let me show you briefly how that works. So here I've got the Omen Command Center software running. So you can see under Omen sequencer, there's a macros function. Let me click that. And this is the first time I've been here. So you'll see that I've not created a macro before. And so we'll go down here to the bottom where there's create new. And there's actually 4 different types of macro keys. There's a shortcut macro, which lets you launch or send a Windows shortcut back to the system. So for example, if you press the Windows key and the E key on a Windows system, it brings up File Explorer. So you could create a shortcut to issue those keystrokes, and Windows would then bring up the File Explorer. Or there's a multi-key macro where you can record a large number of keystrokes and actually change the delays between those keystrokes. You could build a complex macro for a game function, for example. Then there's a launcher macro, which allows you to actually launch any Windows executable. And then there's a text macro, which you could put in sort of custom text that would just be played back to the PC when you invoke that macro. So for example, you could put your street address in to a text macro, and then when you're at a shopping site, you could just play back that macro and have it type in your address into the appropriate field on the website. So let me just show you, say, a launcher macro. Let me click that, and then you give it a launcher name. So let me just call it launcher. Spell it right. And then you can go into the browse mode, and actually you won't be able to see this in the recording because it's a Windows dialog box. But you can actually, I'll type in the name of, say, Notepad, and we'll launch that application. So you'll see that appear here in the box. So now we can just save that macro. You'll see it appear here. You'll note that there is nothing to the right here, but I can grab this macro, drag it to the P key, the P1 key on the Omen sequencer keyboard, and you'll see now the software is showing here P1, indicating that it's assigned to that key on the keyboard. So I can go into the Omen reactor and go into its macros function. You'll see the same macro. I can actually drag and drop that to a side button. You'll see now that it shows that macro is assigned to the side button on the reactor mouse as well as the P1 key on the Omen sequencer keyboard. So I'll press the P1 key, and you'll see in the back, well, actually you can't see on the recording, but it actually now is launching Notepad. You won't see that on the recording because it's only recording the Omen Command Center software. So anyway, basically that's how you create macros. So you can create any number of macros and just drag and drop them to assign them to keys, or you can actually click here and change the assignment and go back to the default function on the on that particular mouse button. So now you'll see again up here, it's not showing the M3 any longer. So anyway, hopefully that helps, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.